Well, it's 8 o'clock. And, it's time to get this webinar started. So I'm Kenneth, the co-host this evening. My better half in Michigan is Cathy. Cathy, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone from Detroit, Michigan. Hopefully, most of you have a little bit better weather than we do. So, but thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us tonight and giving us the honor and opportunity to share with you our journey and success with bringing OrthoFi into our teams and becoming a major part of our growth and our businesses.
Yeah, so Cathy and I are both practice managers for multi-site orthodontic practices. Obviously, Cathy's in the Midwest. I'm in the Southeast. We have been a part of practices that have grown significantly over the course of the past half decade. And what we're going to talk about tonight is the impact that OrthoFi has had on our businesses in terms of, really doing a couple things. One, growing the top line, and then two, also really making our practices much more efficient in a couple different categories, and allowing us to really take the handcuffs off and grow our business unencumbered. So Cathy manages a large practice for Dr. Lanzetta, and then they have another location that's in downtown Detroit. We've got a couple large offices outside of Atlanta, and then we've got another that's branded differently inside of Atlanta. Right now, our team is probably close to 25 folks. We've got a principal and owner, Dr. Depew, and then we've got 2 associate docs. Cathy, what's y'all's structure like?
So just really quick, the Detroit practice, I just want to interject. Detroit Orthodontic Specialist is an Invisalign only practice, and so when I'd like to definitely share that journey a little bit and how we were able to only have 1 employee in the beginning because of OrthoFi, because of the efficiencies. So we have, my doctor just turned 60 last week, and we're actually thinking that December 19th, we might be offering a position to an associate.
Oh, wow.
So we're a large practice in the suburb with an Invisalign only practice in downtown Detroit.
All right, cool. Let's see if I can move this to the next slide. Here we go.
I was just gonna say, okay, cool. Super cool.
So here we are, upper left, we've got the downtown Detroit facility. That's Dr. Mike there in the middle. That's Dr. Depew there below, our respective teams for Dr. Lanzetta and Dr. Depew on the right-hand side. And that's our flagship practice in the bottom right for Depew Orthodontics. So that's kind of what we look like. So we're going to talk a lot about core competencies tonight. What your practice's core competencies are, what OrthoFi's core competencies are, and how they can really help you grow that top line and really drive some bottom line efficiencies. So, when people say, what do you guys do? It's pretty straightforward, right? We're a dental specialty. We're an orthodontic practice. We straighten teeth. We give people beautiful smiles, help them with their oral health, and it's pretty straightforward. But if any of you guys on the phone are private practice owners or your private practice managers, you know that's not all that you get to do. And I know there are a lot of docs out there that wish that all they had to do was the clinical component of their day-to-day, but it just doesn't work that way. And that's where OrthoFi comes in and really adds some value. Because your patient's expectations aren't that you just do orthodontics well. It's that everything from the beginning to the end is handled well. The service is good. The insurance is handled competently. Whatever periphery services that you have, like we have a brace bus, the expectation is that everything that you do runs flawlessly, because let's face it, folks have a lot of choices out there in the space. We've got corporate practices down the street. I know Cathy's got corporate competition, and then other private practices as well. Cathy, you can take this away. It's pretty straightforward.
So just a quick hit on like the basics or the foundations of the core competencies, the technology. So in today's day, especially with our potential with our millennial moms, technology is a huge, huge, huge factor. And so the OrthoFi brings some really cool technology interfaces with the patient and making the transaction of getting started with the practice much more easier, I should say. And we'll dig more into what that technology looks like for them. Because the slider is actually, to me, the slider is so minimal compared to all the other great technology features that OrthoFi has. Any of you that have been interested probably maybe know about like the interactive health history form, and that's just only gotten better and better and better and better over the years, which helps us manage the practice so much better. The pending management, that's a huge tool for me personally. Kenneth and I both still actively treatment coordinate. So I don't love pending. I'm not great at pending, but OrthoFi has made it very easy for me to manage my pending. But I think as a practice manager, I also like to be able to go in and see where's the team at, and where maybe we're really busy right now. We're coming into the end of the year, so maybe the team need a little help. Maybe I can help them with their pending, so I can go into the dashboard and do that. The insurance process, to me, there's no other process that is nearly as secure or efficient. Many offices think they do such a great job, and we all did, until you have a core group of a department designated to making sure that your insurances are verified properly, that you have the right percentage in their treatment quote. Again, we'll dig deeper into the insurances, but that's another huge, huge component for me. That was a big reason why we were able to open the Invisalign only practice in downtown Detroit without me having an employee with me. So I was able to do it as the only employee, and it was because OrthoFi represented a teammate for me with the insurances, and doing the billing and the collections is the second part of it. Huge. Kenneth and I both have experienced amazing decreases in our risk because we offer such higher and better and more flexible payment plans, and have found our default rates have significantly come down. And it's those principles that OrthoFi puts in place as, put patients in a payment that they can afford. So the collections part of it, again, OrthoFi does such an amazing job because they have an entire department dedicated to making sure that we're able to get those payments that, the families need to make each month, those automatic payments. And if a credit card, goes into a fraudulent state, we don't have to worry about that in our practice because OrthoFi is already on top of it for us. So the billing and collections is incredibly beneficial to the growth of the practice.
Let me just
the analytics, go ahead.
I was just going to interject on the billing and collections piece. I have when I do a financial for a new patient, they'll oftentimes will ask, they'll say, hey, if my credit card doesn't work, because we'll talk about late fees. They say, if my credit card doesn't work, how long before I'm notified so that I can call you guys and make things right? I'm like, it's same day. It's instantaneous. I said, and then before you get to day 10, when we'd actually charge a late fee, there's probably a half dozen touch points from OrthoFi to let you know that it's time to update that payment information. And honestly, at the practice level, we just don't have the resources to go after
right.
that aggressively. And it's not that it's aggressive in the sense that the tone is aggressive. It's just that the touch points are so many that folks have a tendency to right the ship and make things better before the practice would even, for the most part, be aware that payment didn't go through or had acted upon that information. So and
they make it so easy for them to correct it because they'll get a text, they'll get an email, and then it links them right in to be able to put that new card number in. So it just makes it, again, it's the technology that supports it that makes it so easy for our patient's mom or dad to go ahead and get that corrected.
Yeah. And I'll take analytics.
Okay.
To me, I think, one of the best features from the OrthoFi suite of products, for lack of a better term, is just the amount of data that you can pull as it relates to your practice, to your defaults, to your accounts receipt. Just everything is right at your fingertips. I've taken meetings with folks that are outside of the practice, consultants, and they'll say, what's your conversion rate? What's your AR? What's your delinquency rate? How does this TC perform? What's your average case fee? And some of that information was really a pain to get out of our patient management software, just not easy at all. And I mean, at the click of a button, I can give you some of the best orthodontic reporting that's available. And it blows people's socks off when you say, you know what, yeah, we're at 66% conversion year to date. I'm like, well, and all you really have to do is click a couple buttons to get to that information. So the reporting to me is the best thing.
Well, and I think too, for someone like me, because Kenneth, you've always been really good with the analytics and you know what to look for and you ask the questions. And I think what's been fantastic for me is OrthoFi has trained and taught me, because the reports are so easy to get into, they have shown me a whole wealth of new analytics to look at to help grow the practice and to understand our practice better. So I think even if you're a practice manager or a doctor who isn't great with the analytics, OrthoFi, because the reports are so easy to use, you start to learn to use your reports more and how to use them.
Yeah, no, there's no question about it, right? You're just exposed to so much more information. It really can't help but make you better and make your practice better as a result. So, and as a consequence of all that data and all that support, Cathy and I have both experienced very significant growth over the course of the past few years, to the extent that for us and for Dr. DePue's practices, we've doubled our business in these past 5 years. And we didn't just start. My boss just celebrated his 58th birthday, and he's owned this practice for 29 going on 30 years. So to see the kind of growth that we've experienced these past 5 years is really remarkable. And honestly, we couldn't absolutely not have done it without OrthoFi's support. So.
Absolutely agreed. And Dr. Lanzetta would tell you today, if you asked him, when people ask us about the growth that we've had and just even the 52% growth that we have over like last year, he will always tell you OrthoFi. The best business decision we've ever made was bringing OrthoFi in 2014.
Yeah. And Cathy and I both went live with OrthoFi in our practices in 2014. So we definitely got some history with this company in the rear view, because we've been on board for a very long time. And then, of course, their service, when you call the folks in Denver for any help or support, they're usually on the phone in less than a minute or two. And they're all very well educated and versed in how to support practices. And they have patient advocates, folks that support the patient, and they get the same white glove service. And then, of course, they have practice advocates that provide that same level of support. So it's really, really white glove. I mean, think like, Ritz-Carlton, JW Marriott, Four Seasons kind of white glove service. They're top notch for the folks that we do business with. So.
And they genuinely care about us. And what I love is I can call with the same stupid question, 6 times in the same week, and they don't act like I'm a pain. Like every time they genuinely want to help you.
Oh yeah, for sure. And so here's a slide in the deck that talks about wearing a lot of hats, right? And the competencies and the kind of service related attributes that OrthoFi brings to the table. When in July I don't know the number right off the top of my head, but I think we booked a little over 200 consults with 2 TCs and started a ton of patients. But we didn't have the resources to sift through that 200 or 300 new patients and do eligibility checks, and certainly not get that information back in the kind of timely manner that OrthoFi is able to get it done with, just because, again, they have the resources and they allow you to scale up. And then everything else down the line, claim filing, the underpays, overpays, re-verifications for insurance, payment processing is a no-brainer. Of course, we talked about delinquency and collections, and we'll get into more of this. And if you guys have any questions at the end of this, you'll have Cathy and mine. You'll have our contact information. Don't hesitate to call. I promise you, we may get an adult beverage out of this, but we do not get we do not get paid at all to tout the features and benefits of OrthoFi. We do this because we want to help other like-minded practices grow. And honestly, I feel, and I know Cathy feels as well, that this is a very good way to do that. So.
And we're passionate about the importance that OrthoFi has played in helping us grow the practices the way we have.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. All right. So, patient acquisition. Cathy, you're probably better suited to talk to this than I am.
Yeah, these are some of my favorites right here. So the whole patient interaction right from the very beginning. So in our Detroit Invisalign only practice, they're all millennials or young professionals that are coming to us. They go in, I love the level of technology that's involved in OrthoFi. Was such a big, trendsetter in this level of technology that we're able to deliver interfacing with our patients. So many of my patients will make their appointments on our website. And so they're actually making an appointment. Well, then I right away get them in OrthoFi and I'm shooting them off a text where they can do their interactive health history form. And it's been absolutely amazing because, one thing that I've learned from Invisalign over the last few years is, concierge and, getting patients in within 24 to 48 hours. And, again, it seems sometimes that I feel like a little embarrassed to say this, but you're utilizing that impulse buy. And, I justify it in my heart and say, they're the ones that called us, or they're the ones that got onto the website and made the appointment. It wasn't like I was standing on their doorstep telling them to come. So what I'm doing is I'm just making sure that I'm the one that they decide to spend that money with. And what's great about this interactive health history form is, one, it is the best, most user-friendly health history form out there. I've only in my personal life seen one that was as good, and it was this one camp we sent our son to because it was just so user-friendly. It will literally take patients like 5 to 10 minutes to complete these health history forms. And the fact now, too, that this year we had this update with the system, and that's the other beautiful thing about OrthoFi, is they're consistently evolving. So this year we had the ability where we're not just sending an email, it's coming through on text. So they're completing these health history forms right away. Like you can see them literally within an hour of making their appointment on OrthoFi. Everything's turned green because they've completed their forms. And it's just because it's so user-friendly and easy to do. And then now, too, it's really easy. It just flows right into giving them the ability to put their insurance information in. And again, OrthoFi does this in such a much more easy, user-friendly way than what we used to do when we would have those super huge call sheets where we had like the 40 different lines we had to fill in. I mean, literally, you need four pieces of information to make the appointment: their name, date of birth, cell phone number, and email address. And now, because you can text the interactive history form, you really just need to so you can send the text, and then they can put their insurance information in. And if they don't have a lot of the data, it's okay, because it's their system, OrthoFi system. It's so easy for them. If they get their employer in, and the type of insurance they have, very likely OrthoFi is going to be able to find that policy even if they don't have the group number and the group ID or the enrollee ID. It's, again, super user-friendly and so much better than what I know we did when we had the 40-question form when mom was on the in the car trying to pick kids up from school that make the appointment that we would ask. Well, again, this is literally going to take them minutes to have their appointment made and their health history forms done.
And for our practice, Cathy, we've got about 90% of our patients that are showing up for new patient consults with all of their health history, insurance, patient.
Oh, absolutely.
OrthoFi.
Absolutely. Ever since we had the ability to start texting the interactive health history form, I feel like our forms are getting completed. I would say easily our forms are completed by the end of the day when the patient makes the appointment. It's not days. It's immediate because it's coming through their phone. They know it's coming. We're telling them, and they get it completed. Well, so it's, again,
back in the old day, you would say, hey, please try to show up to your appointment, 20 minutes before so that we could go ahead and get some of this information from you. And then you've got the front desk trying to do an eligibility verification for insurance. And it just made the process of treatment coordinating so much wonkier. And now with the forms completed, they come in on time, you seat them when you do your fee presentation, and we'll get to this. We probably won't get to everything, but when you do your fee presentation, that insurance information is already pre-populated. A lot of the questions that they're going to ask are already answered. And I honestly can't remember over the course of the past 5 years, for those folks that don't do their patient forms prior to their appointment, one time when I had them enter in all that information in practice and I got to the fee presentation portion, it wasn't already completed by OrthoFi, meaning that they had done the eligibility application and that information had gone from, you guys won't know what this is, but gray or light blue to green. When it's green, you're good, everything's figured out. And it makes an awful lot of, I think it makes a big difference, because when I treatment coordinate, and Cathy alluded to that earlier, we both still actively do that. For me, sales is all about flow, and I want a seamless process from beginning to end. I want them to be comfortable. I want me to be comfortable. And if I know that when I get to the end of this, I'm going to have all the information that I need to present, that treatment fee summary smoothly, that I stand a much better chance of closing. So
absolutely. And I do, and just really quick too with the insurance verifications, I personally feel that it's when it comes into treatment quote now with OrthoFi, when you have those weird ones, 50%, but let's say the benefit is $3,000. I feel like in the past, and myself included, I would sometimes miss that the fee had to be twice the amount, right? It had to be $6,000. And what's beautiful is the accuracy that comes in with OrthoFi doing that for the TC. So when I jump in to create that treatment quote, whatever the percentage is, whatever the maximum benefit is, all of that is done for me. I don't have to try to figure that number out while I'm on the fly, trying to, again, like Kenneth said, quickly get into the financial presentation and keep those flows smooth and easy.
Yeah, like an example of that, Cathy, would be like a $5,500 treatment fee with a $3,000 benefit. You might write on there,
right, exactly,
$3,000 benefit, they owe you $2,500. Well, we all know at a 50% rate, that's $2,750. You just screwed up, and it's your fault.
Right.
OrthoFi doesn't make those same kind of mistakes. They certainly execute at a much higher level than we do, and we'll get into each one. Go ahead, Cathy.
Yeah, and then the slider. I mean, the slider. Everybody loves the slider, right? I mean, you see the slider. That's usually the big draw. Personally, I think the slider is much deeper than just flexible payment plans. I think a lot of the psychology behind handing them an iPad and letting them take total control and being able to find the numbers that work best for them. And I think it's really important for us as practices. I know that at Depew Orthodontics and at Dr. Lanzetta's office, both offices were really good at saying, Dr. Depew, Dr. Mike really wants this to be a great experience for you. He doesn't want the financials to be a burden. So it's really important to him that you pick the numbers that are best for your budget. So we don't care what numbers you pick, just as long as they're good for you. Well, that now creates your financial presentation becomes a marketing tool for your practice. And that's why you start to grow, because every patient that walks in our two doors knows they're going to come in and they're going to be able to afford to get their kids the very best orthodontist with the very best team. And so they don't have to sacrifice to be able to afford to pay us because of the flexibility. And me having an automotive sales background, that's really important. Payments are important to people. But I think it's the control that they have and knowing that they have total control over picking the numbers that are best for them.
Yeah, and I just want everybody to know, Cathy, and I know that you guys are the same way. We do not provide the best terms because we're the cheapest. We provide the best terms. We have the tools to do that, and because we also have the information to know that that we're going to get paid, and that OrthoFi is going to do everything in their capacity to make sure that we get paid. So from a revenue standpoint, and we'll hammer down on this a little bit later, but they really tighten up your AR. They really make sure that your patients are paying, and they allow you to assume a little bit more risk so that you can start more patients because of their follow-up, their collections protocol. All right, to keep things on track, I'm going to skip to the next.
Yeah, I was just going to say, yep. So I love that this shows the average practice growth is amazing. The net collections of both practices, Dr. Depew's office and ours, were both I would say historically, we're always under 2%, both practices in our default rate.
Yep.
And then with the insurances too. I mean, the insurance claims are so easy to get submitted, and then it's so easy to follow and make sure they're getting paid, because the OrthoFi does such an exceptional job of getting those claims submitted properly for us.
Well, and listen, we all know that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. And so there are other folks out there now, certainly not back in 14, but now there are folks out there that have sliders or something that's similar, or they suggest that they can do this, but nobody has the bandwidth that OrthoFi does or the history that OrthoFi does. Second bullet point there is 350,000 starts from over 325 practices, $1.5 billion in production. Now, granted, Cathy and I are responsible for over $1 billion of that ourselves. I'm just kidding. We're not. But the point is, they've got.
I was like, wow.
They've got significant bandwidth to help your practice grow. And, you know, based off of these numbers, you can see, and I tell you, we outpace those numbers by a large measure, particularly on the growth side. You can see the kind of impact that OrthoFi has had on the practices that have adopted their services. So, and here you go. And this is how, right? So mobile forms like Cathy was talking about, the eligibility checks, the pending management. We'll dig a little bit deeper into that. The slider, of course, you know, Cathy's analogy, because of her auto background, has given folks the keys to the car so that they can, you know, they can putz around in it, get used to it, see if it fits in the garage, right, Cathy?
Yep, park it in the garage, baby. Park it in the garage.
And the slider really gives them the tools to do just that, right? They're able to move things around and find a payment, find a down payment that makes sense for their family. And all the information is cataloged right there. Cathy does it the same way we do it. We give them the slider. We usually take the kit back to sterilization, give them a minute to think about it and come back and see kind of where they've landed, right? You know, because what this allows you to do is really reduce the barriers to entry for folks starting in your practice. And I, you know, it's probably not something that we'll dig into today, but again, it does allow you to take more risk from a down payment standpoint, even if you're doing treatments that require a high case fee, because what you find through the data that you're provided is that, you know, your average down payments and oftentimes are greater than those case fees with Invisalign. You know, but doctors don't get a warm and fuzzy when you know, when folks are only putting $250 down. But if they, you know, if they know that they're getting $1,100 for every start on average, they're a lot more inclined to start an Invisalign patient for $250. So, all right. And so here's the slider in a little bit closer proximity. You can see a couple treatment options there at the top: self-ligating, Invisalign for Johnny Floss a lot. And we all know Johnny doesn't floss a lot. But you know, they've got the ability to move that down payment. They can see what impact that has on their monthly payment. It really gives them the ability to customize a plan that's appropriate for them and their family. And I don't feel like our competition, sliding across an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper on the desk, has that same capability, right?
Or making them verbalize. There's a lot of programs out there where, you know, the TCs are trained to make the family say to them and verbalize like negotiate it. And what I love is this allows patients to have their dignity. If they can't afford to do $1,000 down, you know what? There's no shame in that. You pick the numbers that work best for you. And we're happy and honored to be able to help you provide the very best care and get the very best doctor and team, and have it not be a stress on your family's budget. So what I love about this is they don't have to verbalize to us to tell us that they need to do $300 down. They just pick the numbers that work best for them. And then that's why our two practices have such high same-day start ratios.
Right. And the fifth bullet down on this slide says that it easily translates into Spanish, which I don't know when that feature rolled out. It's probably been in the past 18 months. But it's been a big benefit for us in the fee presentation game, because we do have a lot of Spanish speaking folks or Spanish as a first language patients, particularly the parents, right? And so, so when this translates, it gives them a warm and fuzzy it also lets them know that we care enough to offer a product that speaks their language. So.
Agreed.
All right. So this is the wow. I love this slide because if you're sliding across a fee presentation sheet on a piece of paper that says, 500 down, 1,000 down, 24 months, 18 months, here's your options, you're missing the boat. Because even though the typical plans are down there in the lower left-hand corner, look at all of these other plans that folks have selected, right? So you got your monthly payment on the left, you got your down payment across the bottom. You got people that are putting $4,500 down and then doing, a $75 a month payment plan for a few months. And then you've got a lot of folks that select too. I mean, it's just all over the board, and you would never know this unless you afforded your patients the opportunity to make a choice, right? And so this allows them to do that, and you can see, you would never slide a piece of paper across the desk that said, hey, do you want to put down $4,500 and pay us over 6 months? Never. You would never even think that would be something that folks would consider, but yet they do. They do.
Right, it happens.
Here's some interesting stats. I think this might actually be from our practice. This might be an overall OrthoFi thing, but these look awfully similar to our numbers. 22% pay in full, $1,354 of same-day cash per case, $834 down payment per case, and a 21-month average payment plan, which, as it turns out, is pretty much in line with our average treatment time for a full case or phase 2. So, Cathy, you can speak to this.
Yeah, so I already kind of went through this a little bit, but again, I'm a huge fan of the texting aspect of this. I've seen a huge increase in how quickly our interactive health history forms are getting completed. The level of insurance information being put into the system by the patients has been great. Again, I think it's at their fingertips, it's on their phones. If you make it easy, they will come, right? It's user friendly, and it doesn't take them a lot of time to get the information in. So the difference between calling an office that has the 40-page call sheet and calling us and getting 4 questions and then getting an interactive 5-minute, interactive thing that you have to complete with your text message, which office is going to be more impressive to you? Probably the one that has the higher level of technology. People they always come in and say, that was the coolest thing ever. Like, I wish all my doctor's offices could send me a text and have the forms be that easy.
Well, and more, Cathy, this is becoming the baseline expectation for folks, right?
Right.
So if you're not
especially.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're not doing this, you're not differentiating yourself from your competition. To your point, this versus the old school method, I think 9 times out of 10 people are going to say, all right, here's a practice who's a little bit more cutting edge, who's up on technology, and as a consequence, the place that I'm going to park my money. So. Right.
They're going to come in. They're going to be intrigued by the level of technology that we've delivered.
Yeah, and as I'm scrolling through this, it just kind of shows you what the patient sees as they're plugging in their information. It probably takes the average person less than 5 minutes to dig through this on their telephone.
Agreed.
And this is just an up close and personal of not Johnny Floss a lot, but Johnny Appleseed's payment plan. And you can just see how easy it is, for the patient to visualize what they're going to be putting down, to visualize what they're going to be paying, and to make adjustments as they feel necessary for their family's budget. And this is what we affectionately refer to as the cheat sheet, right, Cathy?
Right. Yeah. So this gives you, if the patients fill these out, it just gives you kind of a quick snapshot really fast as a TC. I can look at this and see, okay, where are their hot buttons? Are they super interested in Invisalign? Are monthly payments important to them? This is just a quick snapshot. It's again, takes the patient a couple seconds to fill out, but now you kind of know what's going to be the most important to them when you're doing the slider. So when I'm presenting my treatment quote, I know, okay, is it down payment? Is it monthly payment? So I can really highlight as they're using that slider themselves, that they can find the numbers that work best for them. And now I can also say to them, and I know you said that, having low payments was important to you. So it gives you the ability to validate that their time was valuable to you, that the information that they put into the system, you paid attention to, and is important to you too. So again, it just helps build a better rapport for us as TCs, to show them that we care, we're listening. What's important to you is important to us. It's another customer service tool.
Yeah, and if they say, for instance, that a low monthly down payment is extremely important to them, I'm going to change my verbiage a little bit. Instead of saying,
right,
our average down payment is $950, I'm going to say, you know what? Because it's absolutely true. Most people select $250. Now, I'm not going to tell that to somebody who doesn't care about the down payment, but if they're very sensitive to that down payment, I mean, the truth is that, a large majority of our folks select $250. Now, it's not the average because we've got a lot of folks out there that put down $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. But again, I'm going to tailor my verbiage to them to make them more comfortable about their decision to do business with us. So it gives us some insights that we can utilize to present things in a manner that they appreciate. So,
TC role. Yeah. So TC workflow. I mean, this is, I feel that I definitely felt as a salesperson, I was a good TC, but I definitely feel like this really has made me a better TC, because it's so fluid to be able to create the treatment quote. So, it's literally for us TCs, it's a matter of click, 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 click. It's like 4 or 5 clicks, you get your treatment quote created. Your insurance is already there for you.
Yeah.
So this is basically what it looks like. You're clicking like 4 or 5 different things. You're putting your treatment time in, and now you have a slider to present.
Oh yeah. So while the doctor's talking, in 3 or 4 minutes about what they're going to do over the course of 18 and 24 months, I'm just sitting there listening. We've got a few cues that tell me if this is a hard case, not. And of course, I've done this long enough to know. So to Cathy's point, I click a few buttons. By the time Doc's done, I say, any more questions for Dr. Depew? They say no, he leaves. I've got everything already in the configuration, and I can just hand them the iPad and say, all right, guys, let's talk a little bit about the investment, right? So easy.
Yeah. What's best for you?
Yeah.
So this is just another view of what it takes for us to create the treatment quote. It's literally this simple, and it's all customizable to your practice.
Right.
So this looks exactly like it needs to look for us. And you have your discounts already built into it. You've got any additional costs already, lifetime retainers is already built in there. So again, your TC is creating one of the best treatment and solid, errorless treatment quotes ever in less than a minute.
Yeah, for sure. Free up your time to play a little offense. This is so back to, correct me if I'm wrong here, but just back to the follow-up protocols, right? Am I reading this right? Yeah. All right. I'm skipping over. We're running a little short on time, so.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, follow-up. I wish ours said 13 every single day, like this slide indicates. But big practice, a lot of follow-ups to do. But it gives the practice owner or the practice manager the ability to see very quickly how follow-ups are going, to touch base with the TCs or anybody else on the team who's doing follow-up, because this is the low-hanging fruit. These folks were interested enough to come in for a consultation, and these are your suggestions for touch points on down the road. Great way to drive top line. And if you don't have a system like this that helps indicate who needs to be touched and when, you're going to lose oftentimes to practices that are more aggressive with their follow-ups. And this just absolutely 100% keeps you on track and gives you a window into how well things are working. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to email Cathy and I about the follow-up system inside of OrthoFi. I honestly feel like it's one of the most valuable pieces of the software, because
Agreed.
Yeah, it's a huge business builder. And if we're having a soft month, I'm like, you know what, guys, we have 130 follow-ups, let's get after this.
Right.
And get some of these folks scheduled. And you just don't have
and it's an easy report to pull. So one thing that we're doing right now, trying to have a hard push to the finish of the year, is it gives us a great way to communicate with all those pendings very quickly for, let's say, this entire year.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you want to run a promotion, you go in, you can quickly update the slider. Now you send them the new slider, send them a little text saying, hey, we've got this great promotion. You decide by the end of the week this week, you could get, a $300 a gift certificate to Great Wolf Lodge or Kalahari. I use this a lot of times to run like, year-end promotions or mid-year promotions. It's because it's so quick and easy for me to get into versus going through the practice management software.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, awesome. All right, so practices that actively use OrthoFi pending management tool see 18% higher conversion rates. I'll say this, and I think it's in here towards the end of the deck. We saw about a 5% uptick in total conversion for post versus pre-OrthoFi, meaning now we're about 5% better than we were before, which is a huge driver of our top line. And this tool, of course, is what's helped us manage that and do so much better there. So here's just a closer look at pending management. There are action buttons on the right-hand side, so you can plug in communications. You can see the communications that happen for that patient, et cetera. So
so there's a great tool for the TCs to put notes into, as we follow up, which is really great. We can all see, and utilize. Yeah.
All right, cool. And we kind of talked about the trackability of follow-up and those kinds of things. Simplify revenue cycle management. I'll tell you, just, some of the biggest learnings that we've had are just around the behaviors of payments with our folks. And we just didn't have the tools necessary to see that like we do with OrthoFi. We there's just so much data and information that we weren't accessing that has really helped us fine-tune our business, help drive conversion and top line, and then of course bottom line efficiency as well. So Cathy knows more about insurance than I do, but I will tell you, for the price that you pay for OrthoFi to manage this for you, as thorny and difficult as insurance has become, it's kind of a no-brainer. And in other healthcare verticals, you see costs that are 3 to 4 times in excess what you pay for OrthoFi to manage it for you. And again, back to core competencies, this is what they do. They have a team of folks that have experience in insurance, have experience in filing, coding, going after these folks. The level of efficiency with which they tackle this is just so much better than what we can do at the practice level, because it's, again, what they do. So
yeah, I definitely feel the accuracy is better.
Now, listen, guys, I want you to hang up right now if your collection protocol is better than what OrthoFi has here in this slide. If you're doing more than this, you don't need OrthoFi. You don't need help managing your collections. I will say you're probably not assuming enough risk. But again, because this is their core competency, or one of their core competencies, they have an incredibly robust collections protocol that really helps keep patients on track and helps keep money, in your bank account. So we're not going to get into all of these, but you can see how quick they are to action and how many touch points there are for a patient whose account has gone delinquent. So you guys call, email if you've got any questions about this. The reporting tools inside of OrthoFi are so fantastic that it blows folks' minds when they ask me questions. I'm able to pull data so quickly from OrthoFi. Just love it, and it gives the doc a great snapshot into how the health of the business, how things are going that month, that year, that quarter, whatever snapshot he or she wants to look at. So here's a example of the dashboard. Kept new patient exams, your KPIs around same-day cash and payments percentage of treatment length, starts. You always want the blue line to be above the red one. Your production. Again, ton of data here. A few buttons you can click to see how you stack up against the previous year. I mean, really, really robust reporting. Performance metrics, robust operational reporting, managing your key performance indicators, monthly business reviews, driving ongoing personalized consultations. Just the information that you need to really pull the levers that drive your business, whether it's better collections, AR management, or, top line or conversion or whatever is important to you in your practice. So
I think the other thing that's really nice about these reports is I've learned a lot about how to utilize data to help grow the business. So it's been extremely helpful in teaching me things that I wouldn't naturally use. Like Kenneth is a very metric-centric person, and he's really good at knowing what to go for and look for. I wasn't. So it simplified it, made it easy for me. But the other thing I'm finding is my team uses this too. So the team is consistent. My TCs are running their own business now, and they're watching their numbers because it's so easy for them to go in and know. You could ask any of the TCs at DePuy Orthodontics or Lanzetta Orthodontics, and they can tell you what their case acceptance is and what their numbers are at any given moment, because they go into the reports and it's easy for them to watch and to push themselves to do better.
Well, and the other thing too is if you have performance-based compensation for your treatment coordinators, this gives you a very powerful tool to make sure that you're rewarding them from a comp standpoint appropriately. The other thing too, because this acts as a clearinghouse for all of your payments, from a risk management standpoint, you don't have to worry about a bunch of cash or checks or credit card transactions being processed in office. It's all handled and deposited weekly, and it's just a lot cleaner. And I think really reduces your risk from any kind of internal theft. So for performance-based comp or for risk management, I think it's also a big win. That we're kind of getting to the end here. This is I'll speak to mine, and then Cathy's slide is next. Past due AR from 2016 to 2019. You see a little bit of an uptick in past due because we changed our risk profile to accept more patients. Average down payment been relatively consistent the past 3 years, about $950. And then our production change, you can see, again, relatively strong double-digit growth for the past 4 years. And this year we'll end up north of 33%. And I just can't emphasize enough that this would not be possible without a partner like OrthoFi.
Agreed. So here's our growth. We've seen some amazing growth. We've had one of the most phenomenal years this year in new patient growth. And again, it comes down to the simplicity of it. And I think word gets out. I think families are definitely talking to families. They're talking about, you can see growth like we've seen from 2016 to 2019. Yes, same thing. Our average down payment's gone down because we've also taken a lot more risk. And, Kenneth and I talk a lot about zero down and things like that and pushing our months out, because we just know, like, we've seen the benefit to removing those barriers and being able to get more patients in the door and more people able to say yes to the best treatment for themselves or their children. And again, I really think this becomes a humongous marketing tool for us. Every person that calls us or walks in the door knows that they're going to be able to find numbers that work best for them. So you can have this growth, not just because you're offering flexible payment plans, but because OrthoFi is really, truly marketing your practice as something unique and incredible. And it's not just because we have the best doctors and the best team, but it's because we truly care about the families and we want them to be able to afford the best for their loved ones in the easiest way possible. And I've always said some money is better than no money. Yeah. So this proves the point. If you get them in payments they can afford, they're going to make their payments.
Yep, exactly. All right, so practice translation. What does OrthoFi do for us? The slider is a seamless interface for the patient. It allows them to engage in a way that they weren't able to before. And honestly, Cathy said it before, it makes your practice unique, but I got some bad news for you guys. That you're not going to be unique for long, because I think this differentiation point is going to very quickly over the course of the next 5 years become an expectation, right? People are going to want forms that are online. They're going to want things that act and feel a whole lot more like purchasing on Amazon. And that's what OrthoFi does. Improves cash flow by putting the decision-making in the hands of the patient. Improves conversion, in a real measurable way for our practice, about 5 points. Compresses bad debt. We saw over a 50% reduction in our bad debt when OrthoFi took over for us. Insurance reconciliation is just such a no-brainer. I don't even have the numbers for how much.
That was a huge improvement for us, was in insurance receivables. It's just not a nightmare anymore.
Yeah, I mean, again, and I don't want to talk poorly about us, but about our practice, but it's immeasurable how much better and how much quicker they are with insurance reconciliation than we were. There's just no two ways about it, because again, it's what they do. And then automation of that whole patient intake process, from those online and mobile device friendly patient intake forms to insurance verification, et cetera. So that's it for us, guys. I can't emphasize enough a couple things. One, we are not paid spokespeople for OrthoFi. Two, it has helped our business in an incredible way over the course of the 5 years that we have been on this platform. We have seen 2x growth for our practice, and we've been at this a very long time. I don't think anybody would have expected us to do that, and there's just no way that we could have scaled up without OrthoFi's help, assistance, and their ability to manage their core competencies, and really giving us the bandwidth to manage our core competencies, right, which are clinical outcomes. So.
Yeah, I definitely think it improves the quality of life for everyone involved. It's going to improve the quality of life for our doctors, because they don't have to stress as much about all these components, because it's so seamlessly handled through OrthoFi, handling it so much better. And the fact that you now have a practice manager like me who's using the reports better, so I can stay on top of things better. It improves my quality of life, because it's easy for me to find ways to grow the practice through the analytics of OrthoFi and to make it so that it's easier for patients to call and make appointments. It improves the quality of life for the entire team. People aren't stressed out about, how are we going to get this examined? Now they get to fill out the forms, and we can truly make an appointment in the same day, and it's a piece of cake, and nobody's stressed, and they're excited because we're going to hit goal this month. And it definitely improves the quality of life for our patients. It makes it a much better experience for them all the way around. Every aspect of it makes it seamless and impressive and easy, and it shows that you truly care and want every aspect of their experience with you to be excellent and wonderful.
Yeah, and it affords you an opportunity to meet cool people like Cathy and I.
Yeah, and then you come to the party and the meeting, the user meeting that we have in January, and you have a really good time and you make really good friends. So you like the two of us, you end up becoming accountability partners and really, really great friends, and that's really, it is, that's a really good point. OrthoFi becomes a great big part of your family too, because you meet offices like we've met, and our teams become close and our doctors become close, and we only help each other grow and be better.
That's exactly right. I mean, you get to hook up with a lot of like-minded folks that have the same kind of goals in mind. So, Katie, I'm sure that there's some questions that have chatted in. Do you want to tell us what any of those are, so we can speak to those?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. The first question that we got was, how tough was the transition to using OrthoFi?
Relatively straightforward. There is a transitional period where you're going to be managing accounts receivable in two different systems. For us, it was Cloud9 and then OrthoFi, and it probably took the better part of 28 to 30 months to transition all of the old accounts, because we didn't transition folks over. We just manage those accounts in Cloud9 until they were reconciled and paid off. So so there's a little bit of that.
We did the exact same thing.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of that, and you just have to get through it. But it's pretty easy to get through when you're seeing big improvements in conversion. And I'll say this. I mean, there's always, not always, but most often a holdout in the practice that doesn't want to try the new technology, whether it's OrthoFi or new patient management software or new phone system. And so, you got to deal with that, but they have practice advocates that help the transition and help things move a little bit more smoothly. So, not difficult really. But you do have to be prepared to at least in our case, to manage what amounts to a couple sets of books for a couple years until you're fully converted to OrthoFi.
Agreed. That was exactly our same transition.
Yeah, cool. What else, Katie?
We got another one that says, has OrthoFi helped your team focus in other areas of the practice?
Well, yeah. So we that question comes up a lot. It's like, what do you do with your financial coordinator? What do you do with your insurance coordinator? For us, when we started OrthoFi, we probably had 10 team members. We have 24, 25 now. So not only did we need those folks in different roles, but we had to hire a lot more to help with the growth that we've experienced. So, and so for us, it was really more, you don't have to do this anymore. Or you know what, you do have to do it through the transition. And for us, after 24 months, our business was so much more significant and robust that they had other things to do, So, but yeah, that question comes up, like, what do you do with the folks that were doing the things that OrthoFi does? Well, when you get 14% year-over-year growth like they have for the 325 practices that have signed on, you pretty quickly figure out what else those folks can be doing, So they're not twiddling their thumbs.
I loved it. Our story's pretty awesome. So we have a treatment coordinator by the name of Shana who is absolutely phenomenal. And she would have been in a financial coordinator role, never in a million years would have saw herself as a treatment coordinator. And she, by happenstance of someone breaking their ankle on the way to work, had to get thrown into the TC role, which she could do very easily because she knew how to use the system. And she's in the top 1% of TCs in the country. Her average for the year right now is 91%.
Yeah.
We would have never known what an amazing TC we had it not been for being able to put her into that role and OrthoFi making it easy for her to transition into it and come to find out she's one of the best TCs out there.
Yeah. And, and that's the other thing too. It really does simplify the learning curve for new treatment coordinators because they have a tool that will help them with fee presentation, with plugging everything in, intake stuff. It does make that process a lot simpler. I didn't realize that she was a financial coordinator before. Kathy's not BSing. She's a phenomenal treatment coordinator.
Oh yeah, I'm an absolute blessing. So somebody asked a question about the same day starts. It is absolutely unreal how easy it is to do same day starts because OrthoFi is just set up to automatically make the same day start very easy for you. Because so what's really nice too about the analytics with OrthoFi is we're all kind of using the exact same measures. So a start for our practices is going to be a down payment and contract. And so we're very heavy Invisalign practice in both of, obviously the Invisalign only location and then on our traditional practice in the suburb. And so down payment and contract. And, basically like Kenneth mentioned earlier, this is just how easy it is as a TC. You show them how to use the slider. You don't use it for them. You have them do it. You take your stuff from your photos, run it to sterilization. You say, hey, I'm going to run this to sterilization, let you have a few minutes to find the best numbers that work for you. If you have any questions, just open the door before I get back if I'm not back and you have a question. You go out of the room, you come in. If they're not still playing with that slider, they've made a decision. And so now you just slide right into saying, oh, okay, Kenneth, well, I see that you selected $500 down at $143 a month. Congratulations. Welcome to the family. It'll take us about 5 to 10 minutes to process your down payment and contract, and we'll have your Invisalign here in 4 weeks. It allows your TC to very easily ask for that same day start without feeling pushy. If they're not playing with that slider, they've found numbers. They found the numbers that work for them.
And the beautiful part about the slider is that on the bottom right-hand corner is a button that says Start Smiling Now. And once you click it, it takes you right into the contract. Talk about a great segue, right? Yeah,
right.
You're right.
Exactly.
As soon as they make that choice, you click that button and then you've moved on to the next step. So, all right. What else, guys? Katie, anything else?
I'm not seeing anything. Audience, if y'all have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat and we can ask our.
I think the next slide is, there it is. These are our email addresses. Cathy on the top, me on the bottom there. So feel free to email. We're happy to answer any questions that you didn't want to ask this evening, or if something comes up as you lay in bed, don't hesitate to send me or Cathy an email. We'll get back to you as soon as possible.
So Colin had a question about cost. So how would you answer that, Kenneth? Because I know what I use when I'm speaking for Invisalign.
In terms of cost of the OrthoFi product?
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly, I feel like it's relatively negligible given the benefits, right? I mean, just it's for us, it's covered by the compression in bad debt. Their ability to
Exactly.
mitigate AR pays for what we do, and that's not even taking into consideration the bandwidth that it allows you to have, or the increase in conversion that almost every practice that's used OrthoFi has experienced. So, you want to talk about
And then, and the interest, I do think that's definitely something in today's day. I'm finding that people are less and less freaked out. So you do offer, you'll set, as Colin, you'll set this up yourself and what numbers work best for you on, when you want to offer interest-bearing options and things like that. We do have, I do ours at 10 months over treatment time. So if, if the patient's a 12-month case, I have the interest kick up at, at 22 months. And so the money that we've made on the interest each year definitely helps us offset that cost. And I would.
And if you've
go
got
ahead.
if you've got any write-offs that you have to do, any debt that's uncollectible for whatever reason, the interest helps mitigate that loss, right? So if you're collecting, $20,000 in interest a year, but you're writing off 18, 19, your write-offs are covered. It doesn't always work out that perfectly. But in years past, it has done a really nice job of mitigating some of those write-offs. So
someone had asked a question, Mario. You had said 5%. I would say that seems a little high to me. But that's best for, I would say, any of you. Get on the phone, get your demo scheduled, because it's really great to be able to, seeing is believing, see it in action, ask your questions, and then discuss, what's going to be best for your practice and size, and how you're going to set up your interest-bearing options and things like that, so that you can get a true number of what OrthoFi is going to cost you.
Yep, exactly.
And I can help out a little bit here, guys. It's typically about 2 to 3% of your practice production on average. But again, as Cathy mentioned, if you schedule your demo, we can estimate that a little bit better just based on the size of your practice and the makeup of your practice. We can really kind of set that up on an individual basis if you guys would like.
Cool. All right.
Well, thanks everybody, and hopefully, welcome to the family. I definitely will tell you it's the best business decision Dr. Mike and I both would say we've ever made in our entire careers.
Well, I couldn't agree more, for sure. Yeah, no question. All right, Cathy, everybody, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Yeah, have a great night, everyone.
All right, and we'll talk.
Thank you all for joining.